everybody, and welcome back. It's me, cyberwarrior. Now, as you know, when I don't have anything planned, but I just have random thoughts going through my head, I like to post videos about, well, random thoughts. And today happens to be one of those days. I didn't necessarily have anything planned, but I do have a lot of things that just kind of go around in my head throughout the day. So, first off, I want you to take a look at a site if you are interested in learning programming and kind of how it can interact with security. Take a look at a site called Crevolute. Awesome people. They have a Discord channel. I will post the link to their site down below. But it's kind of another gamified version of learning to program, only with actual missions and projects to do, so you actually learn to code. I'm not a huge fan of code.org. That's just me. Or some of those other sites for kids where they're teaching you logic flow without teaching you logic flow. Because if there's no one there to really instruct what's going on, then kids don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing. So Crevolute does gamify things. You're a spy through the entire process. So please, if you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and check it out. Again, I've looked at it. If need be, I may actually end up getting involved in it. But it is an awesome site, and they're trying to do amazing things. So please go out there, support them, check out the site, especially if you want to learn programming and security. They do have a Python class coming out later this year, so keep an eye on that. Now, another random thought, IT and security. Two separate entities in almost all businesses and business constructs. And while I do agree that all companies that have executives should have a CISO and a CIO, right? Or something along those lines. And security in and of itself should be able to operate independently of IT. At the same time, I feel like there should be some sort of cross-training or some sort of collaboration between the two. Now, I touched on this last week in business enablement, but I feel like it's still prevalent, and I've still been racking my brain on it, on how we can teach IT and security how to interact with one another. Because, as security, as system administrators, as network engineers, as help desk, sometimes you don't have all the ins and outs of security, right? You don't know that information. You may know some best practices, but ideally your job is to keep the lights on and keep the data flowing. Your job isn't necessarily to secure, although it should be, but because you haven't studied or learned or whatever the case may be, you do what's best for the business in terms of keeping the lights on. And what happens is a lot of times that introduces flaws that don't necessarily need to be there. So how do we avoid that? And that's by having collaborative efforts between security and IT, whether it be training or, sit downs where we just discuss, what's going on in the network. How can we improve the state of security and help IT in the same sense? I know a lot of security guys, if you don't use it, you lose it, is a common saying. And once you get away from system administration and you get away from network engineering and you get away from help desk, unless you're doing it on your own, whether you're standing up labs or fixing computers or doing things with a network, at home, you kind of lose a lot of what goes on and how things are done. So, I know people that do really well in, say, Active Directory pen testing, right? They're able to elevate privileges and basically run rampant on a domain because they have both sides, right? They know how GPOs work. They know how a domain forest and things like that are run. But they don't know the networking side of it. So even though they specialize in something like that, maybe you have someone like that in your company, right? So you have, a really, really good security person, but they really only know domain infrastructure. They don't know networking. And you don't have a networking security guy. So what it takes is that cross-training, because a lot of times these security guys, and not all the time, you'll have, times where it hasn't happened, but a lot of people that get into security learn at least an overview to understand how networks and how domains and how computers work, and that being, a lot of different operating systems and a lot of different network technologies. So by learning that, you still have the ability to talk to networking and let networking teach you, right? We got to get out of our own heads. A lot of people in security, you can say they're elitist, right? They think they're better than the sysadmin or the network engineer or the help desk guy. And let's be honest, we all have flaws. We all have things that we can't do. So in order to keep up with not only our knowledge, but the knowledge of the businesses that we're working with, we have to interact with these guys. We have to train with these people to really get an understanding of how the business is. So again, it just comes back to, that collaborative effort. All right. As a business, you should be able to set aside time for your teams, especially IT and security, to really sit down and look at networks and domains and how things are configured. That way the security guys can, work with the domain and the networking guys and be like, all right, look, guys, I know this is how we have it. Is there a way we can mitigate it, right? Is there a change we can make to make it more secure that will not affect business outcomes? And then as a, from the domain side of things, is there something we can do within the GPOs for least privilege and things of that nature? What can we do to make it better? And again, this just comes down to businesses realizing, and security and your sysadmins and your network guys, let's not always blame one another for what goes on. Let's take responsibility. Let's look at what's really happening and let's work together. Let's not think we're better than anybody else. And that's all avenues. I've worked help desk. I've worked networking and system administration. I've worked security. I've done it all. And I see how we always want to blame the other guy. Now, I get it. All right, you never want it to be your fault, but let's be honest with ourselves. Sometimes it is. All right, so we really got to take a good, hard, long look in the mirror and see whether or not we're the problem. All right, by doing that, you build a better team dynamic, because even though security is technically separate in all entities, it still needs to be able to collaborate. So again, I talked about on business enablement on last Tuesday. You need to be able to interact with these people. You need to be able to work together. So please, I beg of you, as security people, as network engineers, I don't care if you have a CCIE. I don't care if you have an MCSE. I don't care if you have some Linux certification that says I know Red Hat better than everybody else in the world. There's still things you don't know. I don't care if you have a CISP. There's a lot of people out there, not as much as some certifications, but still a lot of people out there that have that. Doesn't make you better than anybody else. You have an OSCP, OSCE, OSEE. All right, great. You're an awesome pen tester and exploit developer. Good on you. It doesn't mean you know everything. There's still room to learn and room to grow. So let's come together as IT. Let's come together as security. And, let's make it to where these businesses, although they may not give us the time, let's make the time. Let's truly work together and quit thinking that everybody else is the problem. If we want funding, if we want budget, let's make a case for ourselves by working together and saying, okay, we need budget for this anti-malware or this firewall or this IPS or this cloud infrastructure by working with the other teams. It's the only way you're going to be able to make it happen. So, I'll leave you with this. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. It is now Thursday night. And yeah, it's going to go up tonight. But please, if you like my videos, go ahead, hit subscribe, hit the bell, so that you get alerted anytime I go live, anytime I put up a new video. Please check out the swag shop, cyberwarriorstudios.com. I just, again, put out new items today, and I'm going to continue to do so as I'm able to. As soon as my hoodies come in that I ordered, I will be representing them and showing them off. And again, Patreon, if you haven't become a patron yet, please go ahead and take a look at it. All patrons that enter in the $25 or $50 tier do get discounts in my shop, as well as all patrons do have an audio-only RSS feed that is exclusive to them. And there's more surprises down the road, but you'll see that when it comes along. So, for now, I'm Cyber Warrior. You guys have a fantastic rest of your evening or day whenever you're watching this. And I'll catch you next time. Actually, I'll catch you tomorrow on Friday for Security Happy Hour, where I have 2 newcomers coming in. People that are new to the field. So be sure to check that out.